Okay. Yeah, new camera angle. Hopefully this one works. I tried to pull the camera in a bit closer. I think we're gonna hold off on Vash. I kind of want to see how far into the Warpsmiths we can get. What's up, Shammy? The problem is this is a new angle, so I gotta get used to it. Try to find a good position for you guys. Let me get some zoom on. There you go. Technically T-Suns. Technically not. We're working mostly on my Chaos Space Marine stuff. But since a lot of my army is already T-Sun themed, I'm just trying to bring that theming over to Chaos Space Marine so I can utilize the new detachments. Since a lot of my army is built for like a March of the Machines style system. Basically wanting as many demon engines and stuff on the field. Someone posted them in the leak stuff. Or you're talking about 4 kill team. Well, we've been, Kill Team's been moving almost all their teams into covert. Of all the teams that have been shown so far, I feel like almost all of them are covert. In one way or the other, right? Like, I don't feel like there's been a straightforward team in a while. Like, we started with Scouts and Scorpions, and if you don't think either of those teams are stealth and focus, I don't know what to tell you. They 100% are. Then we moved to Mandrakes, and what was it? Trying to remember the other team for the Mandrakes. Oh no. Kind of problematic. Oh, it was Night Lords. Mandrakes, Night Lords, both teams. Hyper frickin' stealth. And now we're into Jaegers and Brood Brothers? Yeah. Hyper stealth. Bounce hard with going in and... Yeah, I mean, going in and out of concealment is a key thing for stealth teams. Theirs might be a little different, I guess, than most. Is it their faction rule? Like, is it their group rule? Or is it more, I guess, focused and emphasized within their ploys or something? I'm gonna try to servo off. Try to keep this guy in focus because I don't know if the camera's gonna do good focusing at this tier. Yeah, we try to stick with the jazz. So I feel like part of my mental, like, system for 40K is slowly unlocking because there's elements of 40K that I used to never take part in. So coming back to it, I feel like I've avoided thinking of reinforcements and stuff. Like the notion of, oh, I need all my firepower on the field at all times just overwhelms, I guess. Made me focus a lot on that. But now I'm really starting to think I gotta put stuff in reserve. The last game that I played was against Aldari. He had a bunch of Bright Lances. And I was like, I'm not going to put anything into reserve. And after putting the third unit on the field, I immediately regretted that. Because I had run out of hiding spots. I was literally like, well, I guess I got to put my Forge Fiends in the open. This doesn't work. He's going to shoot me off the field turn 1 if he gets initiative. And we kind of did it that way, too. Like, he started putting his Bright Lances, because he was even congested on the field, is what he was saying. So he had put stuff out in the open. And it literally came down to who rolled first, because his Bright Lances wiped one of my Forge Fiends turn 1. And that's basically game. Because if you're going to play Soul Forged, you need to protect your Forge Fiends at all costs. Oh, dude, but snipers 9 times out of 10 shoot in concealment as well. Almost all their guns are heavy silent. You have to play grenades into them. They're probably good, though. Are they... I thought I heard that they were similar to the Scouts in that they had like a pre-game like amount of points they can spend on things, or is that just like passive for them? Because Scouts, they give you like X amount of points and then you expend those points on early game benefits, like booby traps and stuff like that. I'm guessing the Jaegers might be more about bringing specialists. Because that seems to be the Hearthkin way. Or the Votan way. Because Hearthkin are that way, right? They have the specialists that give them the benefits. And as long as those specialists are alive, you can put down the tokens on the field that give you, like, the extra damage function or the extra defense. They're just generally really good. We're talking about them now. I have to look at the rules. I didn't plan on getting them. My buddy purchased Mandrakes from the last box for himself. I didn't really get the Night Lords. And then this box really didn't appeal to either of us, even though now that I'm thinking about it with the reveals for Genestealer Cult detachments for 40k, I probably would have gotten it for the Brood Brothers, just because I kind of need a Patriarch. Because the detachment rules seem to really help with Patriarchs. And I'm going to be leaning into the Abominant, Aberrant, Patriarch, Pure Strain combo. Oh, they brought you they gave them the locator? Or are we talking about the update to the locator for salvagers or something? I think the Jaegers are going to be good, because they're going to feel like Imperial Scouts. But are they similar in durability? That is a possibility, the Necromunda model. It does look really good. That's kind of a thing. The Salvagers were very straightforward. They were very much just like, we have abilities we can spend, but it's mostly about getting you in line of sight and gunning you down with crits. I liked Space Marine 1. I don't know how familiar you were with the release of it, but there was a very large community around the multiplayer of Space Marine 1, the competitive multiplayer. Well, I say large. It was, it's more rabid than large. Like, we loved the hell out of that game's multiplayer function. And I played a lot of it. I played a melt-a-gun wielding soldier. I just run at people to the best of my ability. I would hide around corners, and I would hold down points of interest. Because, dude, you get point blank on someone with a melt-a-gun in that game, it feels like 40k. I think originally the Salvagers had a limit on that 1 inch, right? They changed it in balance to make it kind of a permanent, I thought. There was something else about that 1 inch that negated it. Movement is hard in Kill Team, because you want teams to have that, like, slower move speed flavor and still be viable. But I feel like 9 times out of 10, they just... The Games Workshop ends up being like, well, we screwed this up. And then giving whoever they gave the slower move speed to some kind of enhancement to help them out with speed. Because that is kind of the core of the game right now, is how fast are you? Can you get to where you need to go? It's one of the main reasons why the Warp Coven feels so weak when actually being played, despite their rules seeming to be really good. Same thing with the Hieratech. Everything about the Warp Coven and Hieratech rules, because they are very similar, should lean to an extremely difficult opponent. But 9 times out of 10, you will be able to defeat them with any slightly faster team. Just because you can get the points you need when you need them. It's great. No, yeah. Space Marine 2 could be cool, too. It looks like the company's leaning into... I might need to... Alright, so my comfortable spot to paint is here. Hang on. Let me, No, yeah. And that's kind of the way the game goes. Movement is king. Movement is very much king in Kill Team. So you get all the slower teams. The ones that I like. I actually really like Hieratech. And I really like Warp Coven. And I know if I go to a tournament with either of those teams, I'm probably going to lose. I might do okay in some matchups on some maps. But once you get to a map that's like, oh, you have to be kind of quick. It's already over. It's already game. So, like, that's probably the one thing with the Jaegers that might really hold them back, unless they have a way to get around it. They need a viable enough way to get around it. And the Warp Coven kind of lost their way to get around it, which was reducing the enemy's move speed overall. Like a map-wide debuff. It was such a good counterpoint. Oh, I'm gonna have to re-glue this guy back on. No! I have not heard of one, although there isn't one there. I wonder if they're trying to move in the direction of being able to have a tournament there, though, because it seems like they're leaning in the direction of wanting stuff, right, to be there more and more. And one of the key things apparently from this year is there's a person from the 40K scene that's going to be there, or rather just the tabletop scene in general. He's going to be there as, I guess, a guest. And no, it's not necessarily me. I am on their guest list. But get some glue on this guy. We'll cover it up later. Goobertown Hobbies is apparently going to be there. He's a pretty big kind of evergreen hobbyist YouTube channel. I've watched him a decent bit when getting back into this game for the hobby side. So I feel like they're trying to go in that direction because they're doing tournaments for like general games. And that's kind of the big thing, I feel like, is their focus right now, is just wanting sort of general board games to be like what people are interested in at this thing. And then maybe they'll do it. Because there was just a tournament in Canada, actually. It was a comic book convention in Canada that pairs itself with an AOS and a 40K tournament. Because it's just a really large building. And they didn't know if they could pull enough people with just comic books. So they kind of did that dual thing. And it worked. And honestly, I think a video game convention called Too Many Games that has a slight emphasis on board games could do really well. Possibly getting a 40K tournament organizer to work with them. I might need to rethink where this guy goes. Just paint over that. Maybe we just do the one. Because that one should be really well connected to it. I will say this, I am bringing Warhammer Underworld stuff to the convention. Oh, did they say they are doing a 40K one? Dude, if they do a 40K one, maybe. Maybe. It's weird to put up that you're doing that this close to the actual convention. Because it gives people not a lot of time to choose. The schedule is live. Schedule. Tabletop, we will just focus exclusively on those. Board game tournament, board game free play, Digimon, miniature free paint, One Piece, Pokemon, Star Wars, Yu-Gi-Oh, Legends, Magic, Star Wars, open. Fit to print, Battlefleet Gothic, which is weird because that game hasn't been a game in years. Blood Bowl, that's a good one. I actually do like Blood Bowl. Board game speed dating, okay. Board game speed, Lorcana. Lorcana's pretty big. Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, Ark. What's this? Oh. Ooh, there is a 40K tournament. What day is this? Saturday at 1. 1,500 points? One to 7. It is all Saturday. When's the signing? Shit. When's the signing, actually? Get excited to paint minis, board game free play, board game play testing. Oh no, miniatures free paint and take. If I go, what do I think I play my Soul Forged. Yeah, we'll play Soul Forged. John Company. I did not know they were doing this. So Saturday at 1. Is it just a one day? I can't believe it's 1,500 points though. 1,500 points is so weird because you can't take. How do the points work, right? Is it for up to 1,000 points you can only take 250 ally, and then up to 2,000 points you can take 500 points of allies, even though I'm not taking allies. Miniature free paint, One Piece, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering. So Warhammer Underworlds is Sunday at noon. I'll have my Underworld stuff with me. But I'm also thinking of doing 40K. Sign up live! Oh, god damn it. Where? I have to think. I hate this. Hang on. I also need to see signings. Signings. So supposedly, Spawncast signing is Saturday. John usually likes to do it early so we can get it out of the way. But, Beat 'em Up's Wolf Den. Oh, it's a 4 p.m. thing. I almost don't care about going to the signing. Honestly, if I'm going to be there, I might as well go for the tournament. I'll be there for the panel the day before, because there's really nothing on Friday. Oh, Legends of Evantris is going to be there. I love watching those guys play D&D. I usually have them on a loop in my background when I'm painting and stuff. All right, 40K. They say sign up is at the Banished Zone booth. You're saying sign up is live, though? Or is that for something else? Is that for Underworlds? Schedule. Which also means I need to make a 1,500 point list by next week. Which, it's not going to be hard. Underworlds. Also done Banished Zone booth. You're saying that it's... Wait, what are you looking at? Are you looking at the phone app? Does the phone app allow you to sign up? Because I'm on their website. I think we'll have most of my stuff painted before then. I don't think you will, because I don't think I've set any of that. Oh God, how did this ship? Tracking. Oh, USPS. That's not bad. I ordered a Mauler Fiend off of Amazon. Things to do. Volunteers apply to volunteer vendor now. So it's done by Banish Zone. So Banish Zone. Store, about us. Too many games. Check out our Discord. And then a shop now button. I'd 100% sign up for both of these. John will be like, hey, the signing's at this time. I'll be like, dude, I'm at a tournament. I can't. I didn't see any kill team, which makes me sad. Sad panda. Question is, am I going to be a dick at this convention? Because on one hand, I could go with Soulforged and kind of tinker with the list a little bit, make it work for 1,500 points. Which I think is mostly just me dropping the Hellbrutes. I think the list will also be flavorful enough that it'll be worth taking, because I will have a Helldrake. Because to my understanding, at 1,500 points, a lot of people will play Necron with Catan. which is kind of a shitty thing to do. Because at 1,500 points, there's really not enough assets on the field to handle a Catan properly. Like, you're going to be putting a lot of effort into bringing that Catan down. Usually you always want that extra, like, 130 points of anti-tank to toss into it. But if you don't have it, you're kind of screwed. So people will bring, like, a dual Catan list. Just be a douchebag. Things to do, miniature tournaments. $20K Warhammer Underworlds and $40K. Is it a pay or is it just to go? Deadline 30 minutes before the start. This event will be 3 rounds, Swiss pairings. Please bring 3 copies of your list, dice, measuring tools, books, and your army. Registration sign-in at 1:15 to 3:15, round 1. So yeah, it's only 1 day. It's round 1, 2, 3, so you get 3 rounds. I'm doing it. This is on Best Coast Pairings, which I'm already fully signed up for. Give me a second. Kind of want to get this in. Search. June 29th. This was for 40K. Search. $1,500 points, tournament, too many games. Click, register. WHW. Register. Thank you for bringing this up, Job. It's a bit distracting, but it's also a good kind of distracting, because I would like to get some games in. What do they want? They want me to put my roster in beforehand? I can do that at home or something. We gotta decide, I guess. And then I want to sign up as well. For the Underworlds tournament. It's fine, Job. Jesus. Don't be so sad. Format Rivals. So this is Rivals, which is the format I think I like, maybe? Because if it's not the format I like, I'm not going to sign up for it. Because if it's the crazy format, I'm not going to be prepared enough to play. Pretty sure Rivals is the format that I like, though. Deck building. In the Rivals, a warband must have one of the following. A Rivals deck that includes only cards with the warband symbol. A Universal Rivals deck where cards have been up. Yeah, this is good. Oh no, there's no more spots. Or no, is there? No, yeah, ticket. Oh no, tickets remaining 24. Can I register? It doesn't look like registration's open. For the Underworlds one. Yeah, registration's not open for that. 40K one is, though, and I signed up for it. Close quarters, setup, operative set. The 3 friendly Jaeger operatives set up within concealed order, wholly within 4 inches. Oh, so they get forward deploy. Kind of like mini scout, but not really. Cannot make shooting attacks or perform charge actions. Yeah, that's about right. If you're using close quarters rules at the end of the setup operative step, up to 3 friendly Hearthstone Jaeger operatives can have the conceal order and are wholly within your drop zone, perform up to 2 different actions. So this is to mitigate being able to set up in rooms, which is good. Your shooting attacks perform the charge action. Turning point, resourcefulness. Yeah, so they get resourceful points at the end of each turning point. So it's a little different. Scouts are at the beginning. I'll have to read more up on it. Let me let people know. Oh. Boom! All right, back to work. I'll try to keep an eye out on that Underworlds game to see if the registration goes live at some point, but until then, we got work to do, because I'm probably going to want as much of this painted as possible. Because there's a chance we're going to go Soulforged. If not, we might try to flex some oddity with Thousand Suns. The weird part is that Thousand Suns at lower points values becomes a worse and worse team. Because it's already very expensive to field your models. And to get to the level of Cabal points you really would want to be what people would consider competitive, you need at least like 2,000 points. Like, at least. Which means at a 1,500 point game, it's actually kind of interesting how you're going to have to build. Because you kind of have to build, like, flex mode, right? Like, you have to build for models that you wouldn't normally put in just to see if you're able to perform the actions. Because you also have to assume that your opponent isn't going to have as much kill potential as they would at a 2K game, right? So if I lean more into my Zangors, if maybe I lean into what I would call the Terminator Prince list, which is one Demon Prince on foot, one full squad Terminators with a Sork Lord, and then a boatload of Zangors. Like, just a boatload of Zangors. What's up, Gold Niner? We could go that route. Or I could keep it simple with the Soulforged list. Because Soulforged, it just happens. Soulforged happens exactly how it's supposed to happen. Like, I would just go with what I go with. I probably would avoid the Hellbrutes, which I think almost equates itself to the 500 points that I would drop, right? Because I think they're... it's close. I might have to drop one squad of cultists as well. Oh, nice. I do like Word. You said Word Bearer, yeah. I always confuse Word Bearer and World Leader when I see the terminology. Do love me some good Word Bearers, though. I kind of avoided them since I played them last in, like, 4th edition. Because at this point, I have enough tools and concepts just built into how I play, where if I were to play Word Bearers, I would grab my Dremel for every single basic unit in that army. I would just grab my Dremel and I would write script all over their armor. Which, when you do, like, a kill team, that's cool. But when you do an army... good luck. It's kind of like how illustration works. when you try to consider illustrating something, you have to take into account how much you're supposed to be doing. Like if you're going to be doing a comic book and it's going to be like a monthly release of 12 pages, whatever the visual quality you end up choosing is going to have to be related to you putting in work every single day up to a certain point every month to try to produce 12 complete pages of work in a timely fashion. Like if you're just doing the penciling, you're going to have to get those 12 pages done in like a week. These are Warpsmith modulation stuff. My Thousand Suns are blue, burgundy, and purple. That's how I play them. Blue, burgundy, and purple. I have them done that way so I can kind of keep separate units and stuff, make it easier to see what's going on. But I also like the idea that my Thousand Suns are kind of a conglomerate of different groups within the Thousand Suns. And the red and gold was their old color scheme, so it feels a little bit like the ones that are kind of clinging to the past. But then I also have the blue ones, which are new, and then the purple ones, which just, they feel like kind of a sub-faction, like a regal Thousand Sun group that mostly focuses on leaders and stuff. And it's just fun. It's a fun way to do things. As long as the core gold that I paint feels the same between the different factions, it's nice. I am intrigued. I want to see what they are. Because I know the old ones were basically just giant men of iron. But I'm also kind of leaning into wanting the Osiran Dreadnought as an option. Like, I get the idea of Automata, which makes Thousand Suns a little bit more interesting in the 40k space, just because Dark Mechanicum concepts don't really exist. Like, you kind of have to just theme your Adeptus Mechanicus army to be Dark Mechanicus, and then just run with the same rules. Like, there's not much else you can do right now to fulfill your chaotic Mechanicum hunger, I guess. But then for Thousand Suns to be like, hey, we get chaotic Mechanicum. It's like that extra step of just intrigue. Of course, it means we're going to get more ranged units, unless we can get some cool melee ones. That would be the kicker, man. Is if they come out and they're just really baller looking, and they're also great at ranged and melee. Oof. Must have. But what do we think about a 1,500 point Thousand Sun list? Because maybe I can just lean into Thousand Suns and stick with Index. Although at 1,500 points, I think if we can finish the paint jobs on my Warpsmiths and all that stuff. Oh no, actually, I think we just go Thousand Suns. There's no way in 2 weeks I'm going to be done all of these cultists. There's just no way. Zero potentiality on that front. So I think we just go Thousand Suns. We'll figure it out then for 1,500 points. I think I'd try to do one big Terminator squad to be obnoxious. And then we'll lean into some Zangors for some points. Maybe get a Flamer squad with a good leader, like an Exalted Sorcerer or something. Maybe we'll do the Enlightened trick. Full squad of Enlightened with bows. And an Umbralific Crystal. That way, turn one, you can move block with them. They didn't say what mission deck they're using. I imagine because it was announced before the release of the Pariah Nexus, it'll probably be Leviathan. What did they say? Pre-reg. This event will be 3 rounds Swiss pairing, 10th edition, 1,500 points, measuring tools. Yeah, they don't say, which is weird. I think you're supposed to say. Best Coast pairings. There's no contact, is there? I'm registered. Let me see if I can contact them through my app. Confirmation. Best Coast pairings. Upcoming. You do not have any upcoming events. That's not good. There we go. List information. We'll add that in a bit. Roster. Who am I fighting? I don't know any of these names. 2 people dropped so far. Overview. Is there a contact? There is not. Roster, pairings, placings, player details. There's no way to contact them. Oh, that's right. Data slate Thursday. Yeah, they haven't. So far, we've noticed 2 things, I guess, that they haven't said anything about cutoff for data slates, so I guess we'll have to factor the data slate in. So I guess we'll wait till maybe Friday to get a list together. I feel like at 1,500 points, MSU Thousand Suns feels better, right? It's still expensive. I actually really hate MSU Thousand Suns. I get that it's like the big way to farm Cabal points, but at the same time, MSU Thousand Suns means you only have like a small amount of rules, or a small amount of wounds and damage output from every squad. So if you get run up on by like a 30-man squad of orcs, you're not overwatching that to death with 5 flamers. It's not happening. And it should be slightly more horrifying for your opponent when they're charging up on you to have to assume that whatever you have is going to kill them in Overwatch. Like, they're going to have to pick and choose the side that goes, right? Dude, I'll be around. Yeah, Friday, I should be around most of the day. I think there's probably going to be like an after party that we're going to try to go to later on in the day. I just don't know when. But yeah, I'll be around, man. Depending on when Rax gets there, I might be on the floor with my Underworld stuff, playing a game with him. Because he said he wanted to learn, but we'll see. We'll see if he actually wants to learn. It's one of those things where it's cool at the beginning. I feel like almost everyone, though, that I talk to about the game who's not really necessarily into tabletop games, like straight off the bat, the moment you're like, all right, there's these tokens that you have to use to like track what's going on so that you remember not to charge. It's like, that's it, right? That's the death knell for the individual interest of the game. So we'll have to see. We'll see what he thinks. I don't want to push him into being like, you will like this game. I'd rather just be like, do you think you'll like this game? And then we can go from there. Because if there's tournaments, then there's also other reasons for me to take this stuff, which is great. Ooh, I could also bring my Gene Stealer cult. I just thought about that. Although the Gene Stealer cult codex will be out before then, so maybe I stay away from it. Because if the codex comes out beforehand, and I start building the list for that, and then the people at the tournament are like, oh, we're going to go with the index. We'll do index today. I'll be like, Jesus. Now I'm torn. Because if I go Gene Stealer cult and I do get the codex and I build a 1,500 point list before going, I feel like that would be more flavorful for people there to play into the new thing, right? Although that does kind of feel dickish as well. That's always been sort of a dick thing to do in fighting game tournament scenes. If a new character comes out before a tournament happens and someone like picks that character up and just learns their basics before going to the tournament and then signs up to use that character specifically, it's not a lot of the pro players have played against them at a good enough level to understand how the character works, which causes the problem of the professional players not being ready to go into that character right away, giving that person a slight advantage overall in the tournament. Since they're going to have to learn on the fly how to deal with that stuff. Which I got to tell you, no one likes doing. So for me to go to this new tournament, like shortly after the Gene Stealer Cult Codex releases, and just being like, oh, by the way, I'm playing a faction not a lot of people have played. A faction not a lot of people know. And now it has new rules. So let me go over the rules with you for like 30 minutes. I feel like I'm going to have to figure out how to organize this as a team. Because I think, what, aberrants cost 2 in transports? Or can I fit them all into a transport? Because I will fill a truck with aberrants and go hide it somewhere. I will go a 1,500 point dual abominant list. Like an asshole. Get some snipers in there. Although they are nerfed in the upcoming codex. Rightfully so, by the way. I'm not going to sit here and be like, no, Games Workshop killed my list. If anything, they overtuned it for the index release. And they're finally putting it right. Maybe. I have a small list. We would probably want to power build my Pure Strain Gene Stealers, because I do have a box of those. The way I paint my Gene Stealer cult is super quick. If we do build the Pure Strains, we could probably have them painted in an hour. Wait a second. No, yeah, I was right. Okay. Because too many games is then, and then the next week is when I have to watch my parents' dog. No, that used to be a thing a long time ago. They tried that for a tournament scene, but that got really hairy. Just because this is a 70-point unit, and if your flex pick is to like swap to a spider, it gets weird. There's just problems that they came across with people sort of min-maxing and metaing some bullshit about points costs and stuff, and they moved away from it. Pretty heftily, they moved away from it. They want you to try to build a list that can sort of manage doing what it needs to do in a single tournament and maximizing its points. So the goal now is just to be like, here's a mono list. This is what it does. Kill Team is more in the direction of adaptability during a game. Being like, oh, I need to take this equipment. They won't even let you take enhancements individually, right? Like, I can't just put an enhancement on the list and be like, oh, well, 6 of my different units could use this enhancement. I will move it to the one I want to put it on for the game. Because if I'm thinking like, oh, I have a Demon Prince, I'm going to want to give it the Vortex. Because what I'm about to play into, it's going to need the extra damage. And then in a different game, be like, oh, well, I'm just going to tech up my Infernal Master to be able to easily flamethrower down Marines, right? So I'll just move them. I'll move it over to my Infernal Master, and that'll be fine. Ooh, money from Job. Nice. Nice law. No comment either. Guy just hucking money. Like he's at the club. Yeah, well, I think we're either going to do Genestealer Cult or Thousand Suns. There's no way I'm going to be done painting the cultists that I would need for this army before the tournament.
Poggers.
And I'd rather go to the tournament with a fully painted list. Even if a lot of tournaments locally I've noticed have been like, look, we don't care. We're not a grand tournament. Everyone's going to get the 10 points for having painted lists. We don't want to restrict people in this way. And I get that. It is actually better for the local communities to be like, we don't care about painting. But me, I care about my painting. Specifically my painting. You could have all gray on the other side of the field from me. I don't care. As long as my army looks nice, I will be happy. I try, man. I'm just excited now about there being a tournament that I'm going to at this convention. I didn't even look into it because historically, every time I've gone to this convention, they've had nothing for the Warhammer stuff that was at all like set up or at least organized. So to see Blood Bowl, 40K, and Underworlds, I'm down to clown. I think I'll try to figure out where all my pins are for the Spawn Wave Media stuff. Make a sign that says take one, you filthy animals. So I can at least give it to them for the signing day. Someone brought it up the last time we streamed. The, what game was it? Endless Winter? Unending Winter? It actually does look really good. I've been looking a lot more into it. Forever Winter. Looks really good. I'm actually really down for Forever Winter. It has a lot of good built-in systems that I enjoy. The idea of, depending on what you do with factions, it'll change how things are on the surface. The idea that there's this tertiary enemy type of AI that wants to like capture and consume human beings to use them for parts and stuff. Like, oh, really cool. Necromunda news. Oh, it's like a zoanthrope. That's neat. No, yeah. It's got a cool, it's pretty cool overall. Like, it's a really nice game system, I think. And as long as it actually works and isn't too buggy, it'll be good. That's always the issue with indie. They definitely want you to see their vision, right? That's always a key to any kind of indie company is like, all right, this is our vision. And then you see their vision and you're like, yes, this is 100% the game I want to play. And then the game comes out and it's only kind of their vision. And you're like, oh no. Oh, sneezy. Kind of like how GSC started as a company where they're like, this is everything we want to do in our game. And everyone was like, oh my God, that's so cool. And then the game actually released and like 2% of what they said they wanted actually happened. Oh, Stalker was so cool, but so not great. All right, how do we want to do these rhinos? I think the idea was to stick with the burgundy. Because I feel like the burgundy became more of the color of tech in my Thousand Sun army. Wait, is this the magnet one? Yes. We're going to probably finish this out as a predator. We got to get the rest of the parts done and actually put them together as a predator. Because I keep staring at the autocannon predator. Because it's too good, man. It's so good for the Chaos Space Marine Soulforge list. And I keep thinking that to myself. I'm always like, oh man, maybe I just go that route, right? And then I just wasn't planning on doing it. And now Maryland Open, I think, ended. And the people from the local club that went to it, one of the guys there was playing Soulforge and he was using the autocannon and it was chewing people up in other people's lists. It's such a good vehicle in Soulforge. You have to kind of economically choose for it to go demon. like early, right? Like it's got to hit the field probably early, and you got to give it demon form like right away so it can do the super pacting. That's the thing. I don't know where the hype's coming from, honestly. It feels a lot like Bethesda games at this point with GSC titles. Because the old Stalker games were cool after you modded them. Not before, after. Everything that they came out and claimed they were going to be, it never would achieve those goals. Like, the AI was always super buggy and bad. It was just problematic. I remember, I think it was Clear Sky, right? Where they finally were like, oh, yo, the blowouts, they're real now. Right? Like, that was the big thing for Clear Sky, was that the blowouts actually occurred. And they would actually supposedly change the way the zone was. It would change where animals were. NPCs that were out in the open would die during it or get relocated or something. Like, it was a whole thing. They wanted it to be built in as this big event because that is a huge thing. The blowout is a major concept within Stalker. Yeah, we're gonna do it this way, I think. So for the blowout to actually serve a purpose in the overarching game mode was exactly what I wanted. But I remember the first time it happened, that wasn't an already pre-scripted event to introduce you to the blowout. I remember being near a giant ruined factory. And I was like, oh, blowout. And I looked around and I saw the giant ruined factory. And I was just like, that's where I'm going to hide, because they were very explicit that if the blowout's occurring, you need to get inside. And being inside will keep you safe. That was the whole thing. So I went into the factory, and the factory did not protect me. I was in a part of the factory where I couldn't see the outdoors. It did not protect me. And then I remember I reloaded that save because I was basically dead. And I went a different direction. And then when the blowout happened, the only thing near me was a tiny shed. I went into the shed, and that protected me from the blowout. And my first thought was, oh God, they didn't actually think any of this through. They didn't properly set any of this up. They didn't do anything to make sure it was balanced. They just kind of threw it together and hoped. How'd that happen? Yeah, you can paint with regular paints. You might have to thin it down, though. I'm gonna have to fix that. How did that dry so quickly? Normally, you're given a little bit of time before it fully dries. Yeah, you can paint with regular paints. The butts on these guys, right? The glowy butts on my venom crawlers. Those are high flow acrylic. High flow golden brand acrylic. I also use on a lot of parts, and a lot of people are actually leaning into this. So flat. Also from the golden line, really good. So you can expand. There's channels all over. There's channels all over YouTube that'll test different types of paints on surfaces. So you can kind of look into it preemptively to figure out if you need to change anything or adjust how you're gonna paint certain stuff. Just know that a lot of acrylic paints are very thick. Like a lot of acrylic paints are just very thick, and it's a problem. I might have to paint that black to start with. So you might need to thin them down either with water or an applied medium. And that's all. Not that big of a deal. Yeah, that's the thing, right? The Stalker 2 trailer for the update to let us know that it's coming out and give us a release date and all that. What did we see? Am I the only crazy person here? Like, I was, the podcast that I'm actually going to this convention for, I was on it and they were like, oh, Stalker 2 trailer dropped. You hyped, Evan? And I was sitting there and I was like, what would I be hyped about? Like, I don't understand it anymore. I actually don't understand why people think a trailer that's just like a title, a little bit of like possibly gameplay, but you can't be fully sure, and then a release date is just like, are you hyped? It's like, I need to see the game, man. I'm more of a deep dive person. I'm more of a give me the game mechanics. I'm more of a show me the methodologies in the game. Like, that's what I'm all about with game trailers. And then like everyone that I interact with is just like, dude, all I need is a name and a date and I am happy. And I'm just like, all right, I kind of wish, right? I wish I could be like that. I'm actually a little jealous, if I'm being honest. I'm a little jealous that I don't feel like I am in a position in my life where you could be like, hey man, Stalker 2, September. And I can't just be like, oh my God, my life. It's so much better now than it's ever been. It's like, I wish I could do that. I wish it could be that way for me. It'd be great. But I need more. I need more than just name, date. Tell me what systems you put in the game. Are the blowouts still a thing? Or did you finally figure that out? John's not really a hype man, but I think there's like a disconnect is the key thing. On one, like, I get that at this point, he just wants me to be happy with a game that they're talking about. The thing is, no one's going to talk on that podcast about Stalker once it releases. It's going to cut to me to talk about it, and I'm going to be like, it's this. And they're going to be like, okay. And then they're going to move on. And we'll never talk about it again. We will talk more about the Metroid Prime remake or remaster or something box set that's going to be announced at some point here than a new game. And that's just how it is. That's how it be on the channel, man. But again, I need to know more about Stalker, because if I buy this game knowing nothing about it, I'm going to be very annoyed. Like, genuinely annoyed. Because that means at this point, GSC thinks of themselves like Bethesda, right? Where you don't need to know anything. We glued stuff too quickly. I think most of the detailing we're going to put into the rhinos is actually going to be on the mini parts being different colors. Yeah, there's also a pigment saturation issue. It's, well, the thickness, pigment is a big thing, but thickness is the real problem, because a lot of the times with acrylic paints, the company that puts it out kind of wants it to be fully on the surface of like a canvas or something. So what ends up happening is the pigment is suspended in just like a really thick, aggressive medium, which is usually not great for miniatures. But a lot of the times, if you know how to thin paints down, that would be a key thing to look into. Look into anything that tells you how to thin paints down, like in good ways, and then retain that information. Take it into you. Understand it completely. And then at that point, you can basically buy whatever the hell you want in terms of pigment. Like, I'm applying swaths of this contrast paint onto these surfaces because this stuff dries so flat no matter how much I put on normally. And also, you need a lot of it if you're going to do a big flat surface like this, because it's more meant for not this. But I kind of like how the swirls that occur in contrast paint happens over top of metallics, which is why I do it. Like an idiot. We'll see, though. Being backed by Microsoft could be a good thing, because I know a lot of people talk about Stalker's single-player mode. I actually really liked Stalker's multiplayer. Like, not even joking. I loved Stalker's multiplayer. I loved the way it was set up. I loved that it was basically just areas from the game kind of cut and given invisible walls. And then everything about the game played into it. Day-night cycle. Yeah, you can, if you know of the brands near you, honestly, step one on YouTube, just type in the brand name and then type in miniature painting and see if somebody did it before you. That's a key thing. Like, I started using high flow paints from my airbrush because I typed in high flow golden acrylics miniature painting and someone showed it off. They were like, hey, this is how this works. I started using SoFlats for the same reason. But having searched for it, it gave me at least enough information early on to understand that the issue with SoFlat is you can't really airbrush it because there's a lot of really toxic chemicals in it that if you aerosol it, it's not a good thing for you. So you can paint with it. That's fine. I mean, as long as you don't ingest or inhale it, you're probably good. And then having seen pictures of how it looks on models, yeah, I got into it. I was like, yep. As people said, you just thin it down a little bit, and you're good. I use the SoFlat matte black for doing the outer ring on my miniatures, like the outer base ring because it's really like a satin flat black and it looks so nice. But then I also have some other colors from it. Like I picked up white from it to use for correctives. I have used Pro Acryl white though, and I do really like Pro Acryl white as a single coat, single layer. It's pretty just solid white to go down onto a surface. Oh god, we got ragtime. We've been ragtimed. Finish this. Oh, dude, now I'm hyped nervous. Hyped nervous about the upcoming tournament at this convention. Skip. Do we GSC? I don't feel like I've put anywhere near enough reps in with GSC to understand how to use them. I know their basic rules and strategies, but I do feel like I don't have enough, right? Like if I use them now, I'm gonna need the game to take a little bit of time so that I can sort of think, know what the effects that I need to use are gonna end up being. Like I'm gonna need time. Do we want to paint these tubes? I think we do. No, yeah, there's not a lot of them. But, like I'm saying, even if you don't do YouTube, check Google. I think Google is where I found out about how the SoFlat paint looks on miniatures. I did kind of want to start putting out videos of me tinkering with those paints. The issue I'm running into is most of the stuff I'm painting right now is meant for tournament play for me. So I don't really have moments where I'm like, oh man, let's experiment with something. Like, I don't have that moment of just like, yeah, I want this guy to look nothing like the rest of the units that are on the field. And that kind of is causing a problem right now, because I would love to do that. I think if there's this person who's supposed to be potentially asking me to paint some Death Guard Terminators for him. If he actually puts money up for it, I might try to figure out a cool way to paint them utilizing non-common Games Workshop paints or miniature paints. And then we could probably do a video based on that, because if I can assume what I'm going to paint them as and use almost exclusively golden SoFlats, I think that could make for an interesting video for people to watch, where we go over concepts of using paints that just aren't normal. Because SoFlats are great. Honestly, cost-wise too, they are a little expensive per pot, but I think per like milliliter or however you want to organize that
Poggers
in your head, I think they cost way less than Citadel. Just overall. So if you get some paints that you know you're going to use consistently in SoFlat format, I think you're going to do all right. Because, like, look at it. I think we're done burgundy, at least until we sort out these venom crawlers. Look at the difference. Look at it. And it screws on. And you get tons of the paint in it. It's pretty full. Like, I've used a lot of this. It's still here. Cost-wise, I honestly think purchasing the So-Flats for, I think it's like $10 or $12 a pot, I could get more use out of that So-Flat black than a single purchase of Citadel black. And it'll just last longer. Like, I picked up a couple colors out of So-Flat that I think are going to be pretty common. Like a bone. This is my bone color, Titan Bluff. I got the white. Apparently, fluorescent red doesn't come in high flow, so I had to buy it in So-Flat if I want to do fluorescent red. I picked up like a yellow and a lime green as well. Yeah, pale yellow. And lime green. And then for Slap Chop, technically, normally what I'll do with OSL is, or Underglow, because I occasionally paint Underglow, I'll spray paint the whole unit in fluorescent, and then I will most likely Slap Chop this Dioxin Violet Deep over top of it for a really, really dark, flat purple shadow. And it looks so good. It looks so good. Speaking of which, I think we might use the So-Flat black. Because we need to get these ready. And the trick with this is I need to do all... I kind of hate this, but this is the way I decided to do it. We need to do all of the trim work in black so I can get the gold over top of it. Because the whole point is to just make the butts look like they're glowing. So yeah, for me it's just put a little black on a wet palette and it's smooth as hell. And here you go. That's how it applies. It applies just as smooth as any of the Citadel paints I have ever used. But when it dries, it is satin. You don't even really have to matte varnish it to get it to go satin if that's the way you're looking to paint stuff. And it just looks so good. Yeah, we'll just re-hit this with gold. What type of similar to what I'm working on now, or what are you looking for? Because I got a ton of miniatures. I gotta go grab them. Are you talking about like underpainting with the glow effects or something? I can pull something out of my cupboards over here. Because this, what we're doing here, the pre-glow effect that I wanted to then rework up the gold around, this is kind of new, what we're doing here. This is a new approach for me. Technically, you would want to paint it gold and then spend the time masking it, but I don't have that stuff. Nor do I want to do the overall thing I think I'd have to do to mask, which would be to get the gold down, then varnish it, then mask it. Because I feel like I would want the gold to not come up. Because of the masking I'm looking at is liquid latex, the kind where you paint it on. And then you can peel it off when you're done. Because that's the kind I think would really work for a technique like this. The application would take hours. And my ADHD requires results now. Yeah, as long as if you're going to stay within a certain parameter of color, you could either pre-mix colors and then organize them away into some storage to use later. And kind of go that route if you really want to. Off of just like a handful of colors, or you could pick colors that are very close to what you know you want to use. And if you're going to consistently use them, like if that's your army, those are your colors. Sometimes it's a good idea to go that route. Although I will say something I hear occasionally from the people at the local store is how annoyed they are that Games Workshop discontinues one of the colors that they use. Like, there was a guy that uses a type of brass for his World Eaters that I guess they discontinued not long ago. And he's been trying to find an equivalent ever since. Sort of no matter what brand you go with, just make sure kind of you stick with what you're getting at the beginning, and hopefully it doesn't change too much. That's the big thing with paints, even beyond miniatures, just painting in general. People hope that the chemical concoctions that are being used by paint companies don't really change too much. Oh yeah, the reformulation I keep hearing is like really bad. Because everyone expects it to work the same every time, and then all of a sudden they're just like, why does this shade not want to sit the way it sat before? These tubes are fine, but we are gonna do, I think, the white on the butt, because we're gonna try to make the butt the demon flesh color that I usually use on my Hellbrutes. Because this is all flesh right here. Ooh, Mortarion. Mortarion's great. The guy who wants me to paint his Terminator says he has a Mortarion as well, and I have plans for that Mortarion if he wants me to paint it. He said he was still trying to figure out who he wanted to get to paint these things, though. I have plans, though. The problem is budget, because, like, in my head, I have the plans. I'm gonna give him the price for, like, the Uber plan. That'll take me, like, a month to get done. It involves wiring black lights into the base. Like, it's a whole thing, man. I've been learning so much, just passively. I've been looking around and being like, how do people wire lights into these things? How does this work? What kind of thing triggers this effect? We're going to be testing resin pour with a non-resin medium that claims to act like resin. You don't have to like UV dry it. It won't mess with your skin if you use it. We're going to try to see if it works in a similar fashion. Actually, also from the Golden Mine. Again, I'm not sponsored by them, but I keep buying their stuff. It's called Clear Tar Gel. I can actually turn the brightness on this camera down. Clear Tar Gel. It says thick resinous fluid. So everything I looked at made it look like clear resin. So I think I can pigment it and then pour it. So you're doing orcs. We did our orcs a while ago. Let me open this box here. And pull one of my orcs out. Reactivate servo. This is the underglow on the orcs. Like I was talking about. I put them up on some cork. And then I did the barrel heat. Purple skin, because everyone voted for that. The stealthy color, so. They were fun. They were a fun paint job. I like bright colors. You'll notice that in a lot of my units that I put together. I really do enjoy bright colors more than most any color people use in miniature painting. Because, like, I mean, you can make everything look dark and dingy, and that's fine. I want stuff to stand out, man. We're at that point where I feel like the saturation of people that paint sort of the grim dark level of paint schemes is critical mass in 40K. Like, there's almost no way to stand out if all of your stuff looks just grim dark. A lot of people are starting to lean into figuring out how to saturate their units to make them look interesting. And some people are doing a cool function I actually do like. For grimdark fans who prefer that visual approach for their models, they're doing saturation on the bases to make the planets that they're on or whatever system they're in look almost alien or mystical, or like they're trapped in the warp or something. So it'll be like pearlescent, bright basing pigments that are blasted onto their feet and the rest of the base. and it just looks so good. Meanwhile, the unit itself still feels very grimdark. So, like, people are kind of branching out, trying to stand out a bit from the pack. You can paint the way game... I'm not saying you have to. Like, I'm just saying that's how I'd do it. What I would plan on doing... I could actually... I'd have to back the camera up a bit for it. The first large model I've ever painted as, like, a big experience gaining thing was actually Age of Sigmar's Archaeon. I wanted to see what I could do with Underglow on Archaeon. So, that being said, I actually want to grab a smaller bristle brush for this. We're getting to that point where I need less bristles to mess up. That being said, let me grab them. I have to put them in a boot display case. So this is Archaeon. And I preferred the underglow because I wanted the base to look like lava flow. So we actually sort of OSL'd it. And it's just a way to make him look more vibrant. Because every picture Games Workshop put out of him, he's very, like, dingy. He's flesh tone. The armor on him is black to gray. He's very just, like, dark. So I wanted to see if I could do a fun OSL. An underglow of lava. And I do stuff like that with other units, too. Like Abaddon. This was another first attempt at Underglow OSL, which I think, yeah, hang on. It's way too bright for this camera. There you go. These are blacklight reactive. The green on him is blacklight reactive. You can actually, in a dark room, kind of see the green just passively. Yeah, see, like, even with the lights, like, this is a really low color now. Like, this is really dark. You can still see the green, man. The pink to yellow back there. Great. Yeah, and the black's flattening. Flattens really nicely and it stays matte. It's not at all reflective. Looks so good, man. It is harder depending on how much you want to put in. That's the whole thing with 40K. How much do you want to put in? Because I could list fun things you could do with Mortarion that would add days of effort. Just whole days added to your list of what you're doing with that model. Because, like, when they first showed off Fulgrim from Horus Heresy, I thought he was coming to 40K. I actually thought this, and I was like, oh yeah, let's do it. My plan with him was to... There's this stuff called glitter, fingernail glitter. It's like fractal. It's like big flakes. Think glitter, but it's like tiny chip-sized glitter. So it actually looks more fractal rather than just bright metallic, right? My plan was to put adhesive into every single one of the recessed armor pieces on his armor, put that fractal reflective stuff down into it and then tone it purple. The process of doing that to every recessed portion of his armor would have taken like a whole day, considering how much of that he sort of had. So it's that. You have to kind of figure out how much you're willing to do, how much time you're willing to spend, how much effort you want to put in. Because you can go ham. You can do a ton with every model that Games Workshop puts out, or anything really, just any model ever. But it just depends on if you want to. Yep. This is fluorescent. This is a golden high flow fluorescent paints run through an airbrush so that I could OSL stuff. I'm not super worried about it being blacklight reactive. It's just fluorescent paints are brighter in pigment than almost anything. And I like that about it. I love super high-end saturation. It's some of my favorite stuff. Whether it be in miniature painting or illustration, I love extremely high-end saturation. Seeing how fluorescent pink looks airbrushed onto surfaces, it makes me super excited for the eventual release of Emperor's Children, because it's fluorescent purple and fluorescent pink are going to be key in my color scheme. I use Vallejo. You're looking at Vallejo Model Air Gold right now. It's actually the gold that I use for my Thousand Suns. All right, Pope. You're looking at it. You're looking at the gold. It's such a good gold. I accidentally purchased it. I was just getting my airbrush and I put some money forward for an airbrush paint collection set because I wanted to try to just get a baseline color collection for my airbrush. And I bought their standard set thinking it would have some cool colors in it because I saw a couple of them and I was like, this will probably work. Bought it. It came in. And it was military. It was for people who play military simulation tabletop games or just want to paint military models to be as close to the original as possible. The people who really enjoy accuracy with their historic miniatures, that's what this set was for. Most of the paints in it are named after the militaries that used the colors, specific vehicles that used the colors, stuff like that. Because they are the historically accurate matched color for that type of situation and stuff. So, not the box I wanted, because it's just a lot of like standardized military colors. It's not really that interesting to me. But it did come with gold for some reason. I don't understand. It had the gold already in the box, and I was like, oh, maybe we'll try this gold out for my Thousand Suns. I did, and it's a dark, dingy gold that still just feels really regal when you look at it. Like, it looks nice. No, yeah, Vallejo is usually good. For cost. But it wasn't until after I bought the military set that I found out they also had a fantasy set, and I could have went the fantasy set, which had better colors for what I was looking to do. It's fine. It led me to eventually start purchasing other brands to see how those colors worked. And there's some good brands out there that do really cool things with the colors that they have access to. I gotta do a second one of these, and I'm already mentally just like, God damn it. And I gotta do the white fixing spots on not only these, but also Vash. Frickin' Vashtor. Because I decided to just full gold him and then go back in to hit the Demon Flesh later. And now my brain's just like, yeah, no problem. We try to stream Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays when we can. We have a Discord where I'll usually announce if something's happening, or we'll try to talk about it during the week if something's coming up. Like, this week should be fine for the most part. I think Friday might be an issue, though. Friday, I think I have a doctor's appointment. But yeah, we try to stream pretty consistently. The times might change eventually, though, because I mostly stream at these hours because I don't really have a lot of time over here. But pretty soon, hopefully, that'll change and I'll be able to stream at hopefully better hours for a lot of people. do a little bit of correctives as well. Ugh, I need water. We'll do some correctives with this, because there's some spots around the outer edge that needs to be green. I need to work up. I wonder if they switch it up to the new rule set that's not Leviathan for the tournament at this convention. Ugh, it's gonna be a struggle, because I could Vash and just get rid of, I think, all of my rhinos and my my cultists, and I think that's literally the points difference. And I would just have a bunch of tanks, which is apparently the way you're supposed to play Vash right now, because screw battle line, I guess. But in the new system, you need battle line. If you don't take battle line, you're not going to be able to have the scoring potential that you're going to want on the field. Should probably just back the camera out. The more you zoom in, the tighter the field of view is. Or the focus point. This side's just about done. I'm trying to think of the full process for the cultists, because I think there's a quick way where it'll just work, but I think we're going to want to test it on one cultist. Because 30 cultists to paint is excessively daunting. And I hate it. I hate it so much. Because if I can get them painted, I might actually do Soulforged. Because I kind of want to stick with something, man. And I do really love... Yep, I mean, starting. If you're starting, you're starting. I've been painting for hours, man. We doing it. We going hard. I might pull back the camera. Getting a little too close. There you go. I mean, we already did the airbrush. The airbrushing's done. After we get this guy done, I might actually try just to break it up with the other one so I don't have to do this immediately again. I might test the waters with one cultist for a plan that I've had. But yeah, super excited to find out there's a tournament at the convention we're going to in 2 weeks. I've already signed up for the 40K one. I'm going to try to keep an eye on the Underworlds one because it's 2 separate days. Doesn't look like there's been a lot of signups for the 40K one, so it might end up being very quick. I don't know how new the 40K tournament scene is for this convention. I did just bring it up with my local group, though. Maybe 1 or 2 of them might think of doing it. I don't know. Try to clear up this excess. I've caught the music at the ending, yes. What's up, Case? Yeah, we're just trying to pile in, see what we can get done. Or at least started. These venom crawlers need this detailing work. To kind of pull parts of their armor back to gold so that we can have the gradiated undercolor underneath of it. Which will be good. I like, consider all of this to be gold, right? Which we'll probably do in a second, honestly. Because I have a bunch of gold on this wet palette and I kind of want to use it. Kind of need to get it done. I mean, the tanks are nowhere near done. We're just trying to get them to a good starting point, I'd say. The rhinos are begun, but they're also nowhere near done. And one of these needs to become a predator. I'm readjusting my list. I don't think I need 2 Mauler Fiends. I think instead I want to go 1 Mauler Fiend, 1 Predator. I actually purchased a Mauler Fiend. It should be on its way here in a couple days. Heads up, I don't know if they're still up on Amazon, but if you can find cheap Mauler Fiends now and you think as a Chaos player you might want some, you need to pull the trigger, because I bought mine for, I want to say, $65 off of Amazon. It is an $84 model. And I'm pretty sure the price hiking is going to also increase the costs on like the tertiary markets for these models. I was debating grabbing two, but like I am way over budget this month. Way over budget. It's not good. Like day one of this month was me dropping $400 on the rest of my Vash army, so I could start actually testing it. And now I'm just out here like, I need Maulers. Do I buy two? Do I buy three? Is Wereweevil a game company, or is that like a local mini shop? Is Wereweevils? Because I am intrigued. Oh, nice. Yeah, gotta support our locals. I think worst case scenario when I go in to pick up my green Gene Stealer Cult Codex and everything from the local shop, if they have another box of pure strains or just general Gene Stealers, I am probably going to be buying those. If they get the Necromunda Gene Stealer box, I might grab that as well. Get a Patriarch out of that box. It's good that I'm getting a Mauler Fiend, though. The MVBs are fun to use as Maulers, but you really do need, like, the actual Maulers. Because MVBs are a lot larger. They're so much harder to hide. I'm still not good with picking when to go with what. This is just the situation of not knowing, like, levels of things, right? I sent a Mauler Fiend into a small, maybe it was a large, squad of the melee Wraithguard with a Spirit Seer. I killed, like, one. It ran in with all of its anti-tank attacks and was just, like, 1 kill. It's so bad, man. I don't know when to go. Like, I don't have a good mindset right now for power levels versus certain things. It causes me to make a lot of bad decisions. Get the gold on here. Because, like, I assumed, knowing the damage line, knowing I was going to get all those increased attacks numbers, I was like, oh, it's going to be great. Nope. 1 kill, came back. The following phase. I knew they were coming back because of the Spirit Seer. I just thought I'd kill like 5 or something. I thought it was going to be that easy. It was not. And that's kind of the thing I'm starting to realize. In Kill Team, I can tell you easily, like, matchup potentials, numbers potentials, what you should dump in to try to kill a unit versus, like, what would just be like, oh, this is injury, this is nothing else. And maybe injury will be a good idea, who knows? Like, I could tell you all that. 40k, I still can't, man. I still have no freaking clue how much you need to put in. I see the squads that do put in the work, and I know the numbers from the other end. It's just I don't hit those numbers with my armies. Like, I got to get attacked by a full-size squad of Death Guard, all melee. It was like 40 attacks. It hurt so much. It was so painful. Meanwhile, my response, because of the armies I play, is like, here's 8 attacks. Here's me trying to chip down the stuff you did. But you come at me with like 40 lethal hit attacks, I'm gonna have problems. I don't care if it's like AP 0. I have to roll so many dice. And the thing is, I've seen people win doing the thing I want to do. So, like, very clear that I don't know enough about the matchups, when to go, why, what to focus on. I'm just not fully on that train yet. It's so much to learn, so much to think about. Because honestly, I could have, in that match, I needed to put stuff in reserves. There's not enough room on the field to put 2,000 points of tanks. There's just not. I think we'll paint the barrels of the gun the bright green that my Thousand Sun stuff usually gets painted. It could be cool. I don't know. In that situation, it feels kind of weird. I mean, I guess everyone just uses IP to try to attract customers to do something that they normally wouldn't do anyway. So it's not super weird. Because the concept that kind of like throws me off about that is, why does it need to be in the 40K universe outside of like lore? But I guess that's why, right? Like, people just want more lore. People want to see from a different perspective, which that That I actually fully get. A lot of people have been talking about this. Well, someone text me. Oh, no, this is spam. A lot of people, or at least people I've talked to, have been talking about the new Star Wars game coming up. And they've been talking about it consistently from the perspective of like, oh man, I really want to see some Jedi in it. That actually bothers me. The only real Star Wars games I've really been interested in for a while now are the ones that avoid the Jedi. Like, the stories and games I like don't involve that. It's because I thought they were supposed to be like rare in the universe. Like, you wouldn't tell, right? You wouldn't be able to tell from the movies that these people with psychic powers almost and swords made of lasers are actually kind of rare. It doesn't feel that way with how most of the stories are told. I mean, Games Workshop wouldn't make it. A company would have to come to them with the idea, and they'd have to agree with it. And I don't know if a company would come to them with that idea, because that's a lot. That's an undertaking. You have to maintain those servers after it goes live. You gotta make sure the launch is good, or else everyone's just gonna bail on your game. It can get brutal, man. But yeah, like, I'm actually more interested in this newer Star Wars game just because it's like, no Jedi. Just because I want to see the universe from different perspectives. Seeing it from the one perspective of this one group all the time, just, it stagnates the idea of a decently built universe. And yeah, there's probably books. That go into a lot of the things I'm complaining about here, but come on, give me more stuff. I mean, at this point, you've kind of written yourself into a corner as an IP, when that's literally what you've been doing the whole time. You're just like, well, I guess we always need a Jedi, or else no one will be interested. Because it'll be wild if this game comes out, there's nothing involved in it of either Jedi or Sith, and then it doesn't do well. It's going to be like the death knell for any side stories in this universe that don't involve like a lightsaber and force powers. Ugh, glowing spider butt. It worked out really well. Phone call. Oh, okay. Apparently, oh, I gotta turn the brightness down. In the next 5 or 10 minutes, I'm gonna have to step away for a bit. There's a contractor coming over here to fix a plumbing issue that I didn't know about. So I really want to get the gold done before that happens. Because I do really like how this is coming out. I do. It looks really nice. There we go. Real quick, because there are some spots on it I think that need to be slightly touched up. Where is the green? And lastly, we need the purple. Just touch up the purple a little bit in these creases. How it started, how it's going. Alright, I'm probably gonna have to step away now, which I hate, because I really wanted to try out painting one of these guys. What time is it? 2:26. I might call stream then, if that's the case. Because, what's about to happen is probably not going to be finished till 3, which is when I normally stop stream anyway. So thanks for hanging out. Hopefully I can stream again Thursday. We got to figure out a 1,500 point list for something. I don't know yet. We'll try to solve that equation. Because tournament 2 weeks at a convention that I'm going to be at the whole weekend, which is nice. So yeah, thanks for hanging out. Till next time, guys. Later.